Let's bring in Eli Lilly, CEO, David Ricks. You probably were listening. David, is that part of it? You're not avoiding Medicare states, are you?
No, not at all. Great to be with you again, Joe. We had a really strong quarter. No, we're on formulary in a number of Medicaid states, and usually they make their decisions later in a launch cycle, and we launched Zepbound just 6 months ago, so we think that'll expand. You know, it is true as you expand to new countries and new segments, usually the average price falls because those price points are lower. But, you know, our pricing was pretty stable in the quarter, so that wasn't a factor for us. We just see unbelievable demand, and we're not even trying that hard to promote this drug. We're not advertising. We told our sales reps to basically just service customers, don't promote. And what you're seeing is just consumer organic demand here as we've shipped more product, as we bring more supply online in the United States, building 6 plants, hiring thousands of workers, ramping up production. So that's really the story of Q2 for Zepbound and Mounjaro.
Yeah, and one of the things that, of course, factors into demand is whether people can actually get this drug paid for. So where are you at with insurance coverage for Zepbound?
Yeah, so the two brands, Mounjaro is for type 2 diabetes, Zepbound for weight management or obesity, pretty different stories. Mounjaro has almost universal insurance coverage already, just 2 years now into its launch cycle, so well north of 90% of insurance plans carry it, both in Part D and in commercial, and that's widely available. For Zepbound, it's new, it's 6 months, so it usually takes a little bit of time to get that adoption. Plus, we have this phenomena in the weight loss space called employer opt-in. So we have pretty good insurance coverage at this stage. We're above our targets. I'd say north of 80% of commercial plans in the U.S. cover it. Medicare, the federal government plan for seniors, does not cover any weight loss drugs per se. And then on the employer side also, sometimes the plans will cover it, but the employer is not opted in to cover weight loss medications. You know, so far about half or a little more than half of large employers have done that. We encourage the others to consider it because there's emerging data that using these medications can keep workers healthier longer, reduces absenteeism. Even there was a study out that showed there was an impact on mental health. So I think that day is coming where this will be universally covered. We're not there yet, but I think over the coming months and years, you know, the data that's unfolding along with the work of the company will really expand access for these medications. All the while, we see people self-paying at a pretty high rate.
And you got other things. We probably talk about some of your other bright spots in your product. But just one more question on this: the penetration of where we are right now in the whole big picture of these new drugs that are, you know, like transforming the whole idea of obesity in this country and so many different ailments that come from it. How long does this go? Where are we in the penetration? And as we do get further along, you already mentioned there will be margin pressure, probably. I mean, there will be pricing pressure as we go along. When does one pass the other? You don't expect it for how long, David? 3, 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like in the bottom of the first inning here, Joe. I mean, it's really early. We are not really promoting. We're not launching in 40 countries we have approvals in, and we haven't even gotten to most of the medical benefit proof that's happening. Now, this quarter, we're announcing that, we announced that a congestive heart failure study read out positive, reducing the risk of hospitalization and death and other parts of that malady by 38%. We have dozens of other studies to prove the clinical benefit on outright disease, not just the preventative benefit of obesity. That's coming in the next 2-3 years. So
you're not really promoting this because you're promoting Jardiance. Every time I look at the TV, I'm dancing with the Jardiance. How much promote? Really, it worked. I mean, you're doing well, but so you are promoting Jardiance. You will admit that.
Yeah, because we're not constrained by supply, right? So I think when we have the supply constraint, we're not going to promote.
Oh yeah, my husband loves those commercials.
You love them. They're different. They're starring different people. Everybody's dancing with each other. You seen them?
I have some nice jingle, and it's good for NBC, Joe.
You know that's why I brought it up? So it's awesome, and what a great drug.
Really quick, one more question on weight loss. Of course, with people not able to pay for Zepbound out of pocket, a lot of people are turning to the compounded versions of these drugs.
That's where I was going.
And now, with tirzepatide coming off the shortage list, what legal action can and will you take against these compounders and the companies that are selling the compounded versions?
Yeah, I mean, this is concerning. It's not really a business matter. It's not that big, but it's concerning from a patient safety perspective. One of the things we've been doing is when you're on the shortage list, it is permitted to compound en masse. Now that we're off, it is not. So compounding has been around for a long time. It's a practice regulated by states, not by the FDA, and intended to customize medications to individual patient needs. So that can still continue, although I'm not sure what customization for Zepbound is required. Mass compounding should not be occurring. And a couple facts for viewers. One, we don't supply any medication to compounding. So they're sourcing medication primarily from offshore, unapproved API sites, usually in China. So we don't know what that material is. We've acquired some of it and tested it, and I can tell you, often it's not our product or anything like it. So
Dave, do you think
there's a danger here?